So we have the Girl Scouts here tonight, so I'm going to ask them to come in front of us, and one of them is going to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What I'll do then is actually we'll go into the Girl Scout proclamation then and come back to the approval of the minutes. So I'm going to go down and do the proclamation for the Girl Scout. So this is always fun, a fun week where the Girl Scouts come and we recognize them. So I'm just going to read this proclamation, but I just wanted to thank you all for coming here tonight and leading us in the pledge. So Girl Scout Week, March 8th to March 14th, 2020. Whereas Tuesday, March 12th, 2020 marks the 108th anniversary of Girl Scouts of the United States of America, founded by Julia Gordon Low in 1912 in Savannah, Georgia. And whereas through Girl Scouting, girls grow in courage, confidence, and character, and learn to make the world a better place. And whereas throughout its long and distinguished history, Girl Scouts, the preeminent organization for girls, has inspired millions of girls and women with the highest ideals of character, conduct, and patriotism. And whereas Girl Scouting takes an active role in increasing the interest and skill levels of today's youth in math, science, and technology careers, and to fulfill our country's economic needs. And whereas through participation in Project Undercover, a council-wide community service project, every girl will learn that she can make a change for the better in her community. And whereas the Girl Scout Cookie Sales is the world's largest girl-held business teaching financial literacy to girls of all ages. And whereas the Girl Scouts of Southeastern New England, which serves 12,000 girls in the Rhode Island area, will be celebrating 108 years of an American tradition with more than 2.6 million current Girl Scout members nationwide. Now, therefore, we, the Town Council of the Town of Narragansett, do hereby proclaim this week of March 8th through 14th, 2020, as Girl Scout Week in the Town of Narragansett, and urge our citizens and residents to support the Girl Scouts and their endeavors. All right, our next item is approval of minutes. So we have approval of the February 3rd, 2020 executive session meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I'm abstaining, I wasn't here, so approved 4-0. And approval of the February 3rd, 2020 regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain, motion approved 4-0. I'm going to just turn it over briefly to our town manager
Matt, I'm
Jim.
sorry. Before we proceed, could I do a moment of silence?
Okay, yes, I was going to do a moment of silence. I don't know who yours is, but I was going to do for Narragansett resident Chris Young, who died. He was a pro-life advocate, and he died last week, and many people knew him for his work at the State House. All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you for reminding me, Jesse. Did you have something else? Okay, all right. So I was going to turn this over to our town manager, Jim Tierney, for just to give us a brief update on the coronavirus. There's a conference call many of you may have heard about on the radio with health officials and municipal officials this morning, updating us on what was going on. So I was just going to turn it to him briefly in terms of protocols being increased here in the town of Narragansett for cleanliness.
Thank you and good evening. The town has been in daily contact with the Department of Health and getting updates and guidance from the Department of Health and from CDC. It isn't at the local level yet, but we're prepared for it. The fire department, who handles all the rescue, police department, who deals with quite a few people in the community, obviously, and DPW, whose maintenance crews clean our facilities, and the school department has their own maintenance facilities. We're fully staffed with all the chemicals that we need to do any disinfecting. We've sent educational flyers out to all the town employees. The school department has done the same to families. Again, we have everything in place to address anyone's concerns, and feel free to contact us if you have any questions. That's about it. We are prepared for it if it does occur in town. And I will squash any rumors that there has been no one tested positive for coronavirus in Narragansett. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Our next item is the consent agenda. Is there any item that anyone would like to remove from the consent agenda? Right, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. Item number 9 is a motion to authorize the town manager to sign an agreement in the amount of $25,000 from the Recycling Partnership to reduce the amount of trash pickups in Galilee and increase recycling in the Galilee Business District by investing in advanced recycling and trash compacting technology.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. This is a part of the recycling grant program. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. Item 10 is a motion to adopt an amendment.
Before we do, I know we have Mike here tonight. Mike, do you want to talk about the recycling event that's going on this weekend at Town Beach? Dory. Oh, she's here. Great. Dory.
Hi, I'm Dory Boardman. I'm the recycling coordinator here in the town hall, working for Mike Kajiko, DPW. We do have a recycling event this Saturday, March 7th, from 8 to noon. We will be offering free shredding of confidential documents to all residents, not just Narragansett. That's co-sponsored with the South Kingstown Recycling Coordinator, and we're offering e-waste, so anything with a plug, any kind of television or anything that you have appliances that will be collected. So those two vendors will be at the Town Beach this Saturday, 8 a.m. to noon.
Great job with the grants, by the way.
Thank you. All right, item 10 is a motion to adopt an amendment to the gazebo fee schedule at Gazebo Park.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. Item 11 is a motion to approve the request from the Parks and Recreation Department to establish a minimum of $10,000 donation per road race, walkathon, and bike events for profit-producing road race organizations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Anyone from the council? This item is from Parks and Rec, so I'm going to ask Steve Wright to come forward, please.
Good evening.
Good evening. Do you mind to just give a brief description of this?
Sure. So for several months, actually over the last year and a half, the Rec Advisory Board has brought this subject up about road races in town. The handout that I just gave you just documents the road races for 2020. So since we've been documenting road races, at least since I've been here, we've gone anywhere. This year there's 12 road races so far documented and scheduled for the year 2020. But back to 2011, 2012, we had up to 16, 17 road races in the town of Narragansett. So as of right now, that have been scheduled and approved, I think there are 2 that have not been approved for 2020. We have 12 scheduled for 2020. Out of all the races, there is 1 race scheduled that is a for-profit road race. So the debate's been back and forth that all the road races that come into town are for proceeds go to charitable 501(c) organizations, except for this one profit road race or others that come before town in the past. And so the idea that in the Rec Advisory Board has been somewhat adamant in the discussions over the last several months in the last year about having a minimum of a $10,000 fee for this particular road race or any road races that come into town. And that's why I'm before you tonight to set a minimum fee for for-profit road races when they come before us.
And so the donation they would have to make a donation of no less than $10,000 to a local charity, such as the list that you gave us, which I'm not going to go through all of them, but things like the Lions Club and Narragansett Little League and Narragansett Youth Soccer.
Well, the high school, not the Parks Department. I'm not going to go with the Parks Department.
Yeah, I'm not going to go through all the list, but as I said, Little League, Lions Club, things like that. And this was recommended from the Rec Advisory Board?
Yes, yes. And as you know, a lot of these races, and most of these races, some of them are at the town beach. They take up resources, staffing. We get complaints from residents about not getting access to driveways, churches, and so we try to plan these road races throughout the year, and spring, summer, and fall, so they don't have an impact on the summer season. But particularly in the fall, we do have a lot of road races every single weekend, right up until October 31st, and it does have an impact on businesses in the fall and residents in the fall. So. Again, this particular issue is more about for-profit races coming into town, the one that we have scheduled now and for future road races.
Is the rec board recommending that it be retroactive? Because we just approved one, about a month and a half ago?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, any other comments or questions from the council?
Yeah, I have a few questions. So for the schedule for this year, there's 1 that's for-profit, is that right?
Yes, sir.
For-profit. Is there a fee? I'm sure there's a fee, but what's the fee to hold a road race?
There is no fee. The only fee that we would charge if it's held at the beach that we require for staffing or just any kind of cost related for police or fire for details. But there's no fee for a road race.
Okay, so for like the 10K, there's no police detail?
Again, if there's a detail required for a particular race, then they would pay for those costs. Same thing if it's conducted at the beach and we're opening restrooms, we have staffing there, we have people in the parking lots. Then we're not there to charge to make money, but we do charge to pay for our staffing.
And do you know, like on average, what the cost would be for the police detail and any?
The details would vary depending on the size of the race and the number of participants, how many intersections that they're traveling through, depending on a bike, whether it's a bike ride, a marathon, a triathlon. So it would really vary.
Okay, but there would be some cost incurred. For that.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then, do we know, I'm guessing we don't know, but what sort of profit a company would make on a race like this? Like, do we know what Gray Matter made in the past?
Great Matter is giving the Historical Society $10,000 a year. So if they're giving the Historical Society $10,000 a year, then they're a for-profit race company. So.
But we don't know, like,
We don't.
how much they make. Okay. Do we, so that last one, the Gray Matter one, that's in October. So, off-season, going into the off-season. I'm sure that that'd be 2,000 people for that race. So there'd be some sort of economic impact to the town, vendors and businesses to have 2,000 people coming in October for the restaurants and bars, hotels, that sort of thing. Yeah, so, it's probably a positive to have people coming into town in the off-season, just in general. Have we done any sort of study to see what the impact is when you bring the tourists in town?
Well, again, it really depends. It really depends on the race, whether they're coming in the night before or whether they're coming just for the day
Yep.
and leaving. Every single race is different. Whether it's if it's a triathlon, they're here for the weekend. So again, it's hard to compare race to race.
Mm-hmm. But we don't have any numbers for that?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah. Right, so Gray Matter is only for profit. What happens if it rains on the 4th of October and 3 people show up? I mean, then we're gonna hit them up with 10,000?
Well, they race in all kinds of inclement weather, so I haven't heard.
And these are all consistent ones that have been successful.
Right. I don't know, I just think we should hit them with a percentage of what their take is instead of a defined amount. Just a thought.
Anyone else?
Yeah, so this has been vetted by the Rec Advisory Board, which I sit on the board. And again, we took the lowest number, which is 10,000 that's given to Historic Society. You're talking about numbers of what it costs to put on a race. I won't mention the organization, but there is an organization in this town that pays public safety well over $12,000 to put a race on, and that's just the public safety side. And it's one of the best races around in the state. All the money goes back to the community. And we just feel that you're going to have a race. 10,000 has already been given by almost every race that's already run in the town. So why wouldn't 10 be the number? Most of these races are pre-registration. So if you're going to have a race with 2, 3, 4, 500,000 people, the pre-registration is usually way in advance. And then usually if the race is on a Saturday or a Sunday, they have during the week a pre-registration where everybody can come in and register for the final participants of your race. So this particular company threw some figures at us the last time we were here that we did approve the race. And we did ask them for a number. And calculating on the low end of what they had for numbers, quick calculations, because they said they could charge X amount to X amount, was 40 to 100,000 that they could do on that race, depending on who applied, filed for what they wanted to do in the race, being that it was a triathlon, they could just do the road part of it, they could do other parts of it. So if somebody's coming into the town and they can produce $40,000 to $100,000, I don't see what's so hard about giving this community, especially nonprofit, a little piece of that. Everybody else is doing it. So you make it uniform, everybody's on board. You want to have a race in Narragansett? Well, this is what it is. You don't have to have it here. And for that particular race, if you want to do studies on how many people actually stay in town, you'll find that the percentage is very low, very low. Thank you.
Jill?
I go one
Anyone?
more point. I go one more point. That's exactly why I think a percentage would be better for the guy, for the private company that clears 20,000. If we have like a 10% fee or what have you, then we'll get 2,000. If we get somebody who's 100,000, then you get 10,000. You know, I think a percentage would be more fair than a set amount of 10,000.
We don't have too many races, Patrick, either here or South Kingston that do only a 10 or 20 or 30,000.
But I know you may discourage a future race by saying, well, hold, $10,000 fee.
Well, I think that the town would like us to discourage it. What I hear from people is that 12 is way too many, that they were tired of having the roads being congested. So I think if 10,000 is the number that the Historic Society is getting from Great Manors, it's a good number to work off of. We don't need more of these races.
Remember, a lot of the organizations, they don't have a duty to share with us their profit totals.
So Steve, we do have to, every race that happens in town goes before the council for approval.
That's
right?
correct, yes.
So we could have a discussion with any person that's requesting to hold one of these races, talk about who they're donating to, if they're doing that, tailor it to that race. It's always going to come before the council.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know, we only have like one race that's in the summer season, and that's the Blessed of the Fleet. So
Well, right now we have a moratorium between May 1st and September 30th.
Right.
So the first thing they do is when folks approach, at least my office, I will let them know there is a moratorium. If they choose to still come before the council to try to go through that moratorium, they have every right to do that.
I don't know, I think if you have a set fee instead of a percentage, you're gonna scare people off, or future race holders off as a profit. I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing in mid-October when there's nothing going on. Then we have a road race for a few hours. I don't think it's a bad thing.
And is there anyone from the public? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No.
No,
Motion approved, 3-2. Item number 12 is a motion to approve 1 2-year seasonal agreement with InStyle 33 LLC doing business as My Rolling Cafe to vent from a food truck at the town beach on Monday and Wednesday nights only in the south and north lots from the fourth Monday of June through Labor Day from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. subject to state and local regulations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. This is a food truck at the beach replacing the Burgundian, which actually replaced Eddie's. Are there any comments from the council? Any comments from the public? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, motion approved 5-0. Item 13 is a motion to approve an agreement with Blackstone Health Incorporated and the town of Narragansett to provide congregate dining nutrition services at the Narragansett Community Center subject to state and local regulations and authorize the town manager to sign the agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Karen Flynn is here. Karen, can you come up and give us a good pitch for this? I think it's a great thing that Parks and Rec is doing. I had a chance to be at the community center last week, and the community center was busy. We put some money into it, and they've got some great programs going on. And Karen, if you haven't met Karen, is the person that is running the community center.
Welcome.
Hi, good evening, everyone. This is very important to Steve and I, and also to the community, about promoting this at the community center. And Steve and I have discussed it, and we feel this is a good thing for town, and members of the community will also benefit. So we're hoping that with your blessing, it will be approved tonight.
Can you tell us hours of operation, costs, things like that, so that everybody at home can hear?
Steve, would you want to talk about that?
So Blackstone Health had approached us back in December, and this is going to be a congregate dining nutrition services provided on 3 days a week.
Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. There is no fee for the meal, but it's a $3 donation, which is suggested. You have to be 60 years of age or older. And so we have 70 community members signed up, potential members signed up to participate once we can get started and off the ground, this program off the ground. Karen and one of our assistants at the community center is ready to start. as soon as we get going. But we also need volunteers. So we've already had an outreach program, and we presently have 30 volunteers in the community who will volunteer not on a weekly basis, but on a rotating basis. So they can come in and help because the meals will be hot and cold, and they'll be prepared by Blackstone Health and a dining service company, and they'll be brought to the site where we'll have to serve that meal and then clean up. So that's where the volunteers are going to help Karen and staff there at the community center. So we're excited about this. We think it's good for the community, and obviously the folks that have signed up are excited about this. And it's a pilot program, so if this works, we're hoping then to be able to move to a 5-day program down the road. So we have the health department is going to work with us to work with our small kitchen, but we have a beautiful facility. As you all know, we just renovated that facility. We're excited to show it off, and we're going to hopefully have an open house after we get this going. So we want to show everybody our new community center, renovated community center, and so we're looking for your approval tonight so we can get started. We don't know the official start date because we need to have, Karen is taking a food service course, and once that's done and we get the health department in and to approve our kitchen and get Blackstone Health on, we're hoping to get started in a month or two. So, and then we'll make that announcement. But we need to. It's been a little bit of a process here, as I'm sure you can appreciate.
You guys are doing a great job. If someone wanted to volunteer, how did they contact Karen?
Contact Karen at.
Just stop by the office at 53 Mumford Road, and we have some paperwork they can sign up and put them on the database to get a hold of them in the future.
Thank you.
And don't worry, Steve, Stanley, I'm going to let Stanley's not here tonight, but I'll let him know what's going on. He'll be there every meal, I guarantee.
And this program is, Steve, you can make a donation, right?
Again, the way the program is set up is there's no fee, but they suggest a $3 donation per meal. So, and they pass out envelopes, but you don't have to put your name on the envelope. And if you don't want to donate or you cannot donate, you don't have to donate. So there's no stress involved.
Right.
No pressure, no stress.
And is there anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. Item 14 is a motion to approve the 2020 Middlebridge Marina rental slip rates at $750 per full slip and $575 for a side slip for the 2020 season.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. This item came as a recommendation from the Land Trust. Any comments from the council? From the public? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. It's about 8 o'clock, so we don't have any hearings, but a lot of scheduling of hearings that we're going to go through. So we're going to turn to the first page of the agenda. A motion to schedule a public hearing on an application for the transfer of a Class B victualler alcohol beverage license from Bam Calpeg 1112 LLC, doing business as Buster Crab's Beach Bar and Burger Shack, to One Eye Jacks LLC at Assessor's Plot IG, Lot 95, 265 Great Island Road, Narragansett, Rhode Island.
So moved.
Second.
This is the scheduled date for this would be April 6th. All in favor of scheduling this for April 6th?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. A motion to schedule a public hearing on the application of Roy and Mary Jennings for a new Class B victual limited alcohol beverage license at Assessor's Plat K, Lot 198, 1 Angel Road, Narragansett, Rhode Island.
So moved.
Second.
This too is scheduled for April 6th date at 8 o'clock. All in favor of this for April 6th?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. A motion to schedule a public hearing on an application for the transfer of a Class B victual or alcohol beverage license from Proof Properties LLC, doing business as Proof, to Ralph Jagsites, DBA, doing business as Gansett Public House at Assessor's Plot P, Lot 289-5, 140 Point Judith Road, Suite A5, Narragansett, Rhode Island.
So moved.
Second.
And again, this is also scheduled for April 6th at 8 o'clock. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. a motion to schedule a public hearing on the issue of amending Narragansett's harbor management plan addressing changes to the timeframe for mooring field operations in the South Ferry, Anawan, and Harbor of Refuge fields.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, this hearing is scheduled for would be scheduled for April 20th at 8 p.m. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion approved 5-0. Finally, a motion to schedule a public hearing to consider a variety of text amendments to the zoning ordinance of the town of Narragansett addressing bulk zoning regulations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. So this, as everyone knows, we're in the period of a moratorium. We are trying to tackle ordinances. We've had a task force looking at that as quickly as they can, but we also know that if we make any recommendations, and again, that moratorium was because of the encroachment and the large houses that are being built on small lots and being used and really not being essentially used as single-family homes. So this was during the 60-day period. We were trying to get some ordinances to be looked at. So looking at we looked at our schedule for basically advertising for these and talking with the town clerk. What the suggestion is going to be to do this on an overlay because it's an important issue to the town, and we don't want it to be we want to make sure it gets its full attention. So I want to see what people's thoughts are on having this, scheduling this for March 30th at 7:30 p.m. as a public hearing, if that fits people's on the council schedule.
It does not. I wouldn't be able to make it.
Okay. Is there another night that people would want to maybe perhaps do this? Could we look at March 31st?
Are you away for the whole week, Jesse?
No, just my daughter has a play at 7 o'clock. So
I missed that.
Um,
Are we doing the meeting on the 31st?
Earlier.
yeah, or 6 even, or around that. Maybe it might go long.
Do
5:30.
5.
Oh, we want to do it at 5 on March 30th? Let me check, does that work with the town staff? Was that Terry and Jim?
Thank you for
So
that.
that would be so then we're sticking with March 30th?
Yep, 5 o'clock.
Okay, so this would be then scheduled for March 30th on an off night at 5 p.m. Okay. Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion approved 5-0. And finally, a motion to refer the proposed text amendment to the planning board for review and recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion approved 5-0. Item number 15 is a motion to appoint one individual to the Personnel Appeal Board for a 5-year term ending September 1st, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
It's an application from Sharon McGreen. Is there a motion to appoint Sharon McGreen?
Move to appoint Sharon Green.
Second.
Discussion. Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion approved 5-0. Item 16 is a motion to adopt a resolution supporting legislation that would move the primary election to Wednesday instead of Tuesday in years when it is held in the same week as Labor Day.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Right now the primary day is, as everyone knows, and election days are on Tuesdays, but in this unique case, it's the day after Labor Day this year, which it causes at our level for our municipal employees on the day before, the prep work, that's all going to be overtime pay that has to be paid for them to prepare for that day. Plus, we're asking them to come in on Labor Day, the last day of the summer. In addition, access to our polling sites, which many of you are familiar with across the town, is going to be difficult on a holiday as well. And so setting up those locations is a burden for the town staff and kind of a pain to the people who are in charge of the polling locations that are in many sense doing us a favor between, we look at, from St. Veronica's to Metatuxet and onward. So that's the rationale for this, and this would actually just be asking for basically imploring the General Assembly to move it to Wednesday for us. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, Terry?
No, the resolution would just be asking for support of that legislation. Only would affect the years when that Tuesday falls in the same week as Labor Day. It doesn't happen often, but it's happening this year.
All right, any comments from the council? All right, anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion approved 5-0. Our next item is open forum, public comment. Here we ask people to come forward regarding issues in the community, and we ask people to keep their comments to a reasonable period of 30 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to address the council? Yes, Richard.
Yeah, this is one more plea to end this library crisis. And just to review my view of the facts, that the town is stuck with the IGA market. If one thinks about cubic feet, the IGA market seems more feasible for a library. The second floor is only useful to the liquor store, or if we get a contract for the World Shuffleboard Championship. I think breaking the wall down would be something equivalent to Humpty Dumpty. And I have now come up with 8 M's. The situation has always been murky. It was murky in 2014, and we've progressed into deeper murkiness in 2020. It just isn't clear, it never was. We want mitigation of litigation. It costs money to litigate, even though our town solicitor is one of my favorite students of all times. I still say we want to mitigate mitigation of litigation. Moderation in communications and behavior, this seems to be a little bit better. Medication to cool off. Meditation, I suggest the mantra, relax, relax, relax. We don't want any more mendacity. That, by the way, came from the cat on the hot tin roof. It was Burl Ives as Big Daddy. Gave the famous mendacity line. We have failed to have a movement from anyone else but myself to have a compromise, to have peaceful discussions. And I end with the same plea I continue on with. I still believe a mediator and mediation is the way to go. There is no total victory here. I get the feeling both sides think there will be a total victory. There is no total victory possible. I will tell you, you give me 6 hours and I can solve this.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Ms. Amoruso.
Susan Amoruso, West Bay Drive, Narragansett. Actually, I want to talk about the library. I thought everything had pretty much been said, but then I picked up my most recent copy of the Jamestown Press, and there, right across at the top, was that Jamestown is applying for a bond issue. Their town council is going to streamline the process because they value libraries. And I just want to review a few things from the article that actually they beat us for a bond approval, which they're going to spend. In 2018, 71% of the town voted for a $1 million bond issue. Because they are ADA compliant and they are state certified, in the article it says that the town council and the library board are applying for grants Champlin, Olis, they talked about that in detail, about how, I don't know if it was the president or someone else on the town council that indicated to the population that the state, not to get too concerned, because the state will be giving us 42 to 50% back on our money. And the library had squirreled away $150,000, and that didn't seem to bother that town council, because they know that that money is being set aside for defraying their renovations and expansion. And as a reminder, the population is well under the population that we have here, and their library is already bigger. And yet here they are expanding it. They've got Bank of Newport's giving them $50,000, and they indicated that they're hopeful that this bond issue will go quickly, because they said construction costs are going up. They figure 3% a year. And they have, I wasn't sure because I haven't lived there in a while, they do have a senior center, they serve lunch, they have an arts center, they have a rec center. So they have all these things, but the last thing that was mentioned in the article, in our view, it is really a community center. That's how they see. They're not fighting it, they're embracing it. That the town council there feels that it is a building to serve our ever-growing number of people using it. And they see it as a draw for the community, an asset, and they're just, everyone's behind it. They're not fighting the library. So I just want to say, I wish that there could be a turnaround like this, because we are eligible for these OLIS things. And once we get an ADA compliant library and state certified, we will be able to get all these grants. And let's not forget that the Terrence Murray Foundation is waiting in the wings with $500,000 in matching grants.
All right, is there anyone else? All right, seeing none, actually this executive session item was for litigation update, but there are more items that the solicitor wanted to include in that. So actually I'm going to be withdrawing this executive session, request for an executive session. So I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion approved 5-0. Good night, everybody. Thank you.